Frances Marion Crawford, The American Writer, a presentation by Madison Jackson. The setting is April 9th in the year 1909, Good Friday. We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you shocking news. Good evening, everyone. I'm Madison Jackson, and thank you for joining us on Crawford Connect, where we tell you all things FMC. It is a sad day for all Frances fans around the world. We just got word that Mr. Crawford suffered from a heart attack while relaxing in his villa earlier this evening. Medics are informing us that the heart attack was a 10-year result of a severe lung injury that happened on his American lecture tour during the winter of 1897. Now we here at the station would like you all to join us in viewing this informational film in the memory of Crawford. It all began in a little commune known as Bagne de Lucca in Italy. Frances Marion Crawford was born on August 2nd of the year 1854. As the only son of an American sculptor, Crawford grew up in a household filled with creativity and wonder. Frances was known for his countless literary masterpieces such as The Witch of Prague and The Screaming Skull. The majority of his works were inspired by his life experiences of death and darkness that come into play with each story plot. Crawford drew from the impending mortality that was his life, which included a severe lung injury that resulted in his heart attack 10 years later. He was inspired by the concept of death and would often input symbolic features in his writing. For instance, his classic horror novel, The Screaming Skull, explores deep into the psychological state of a man dealing with a darkness when he discovers a human skull. Crawford established a dark and gloomy setting with the utilization of imagery descriptions such as till his head looked like a skull with parchment stretched over it very tight, and his eyes had a sort of glare in them that was very disagreeable to look at. This spurs a rhetorical effect on the author's readers by making them feel tormented and isolated. The written word can be a powerful thing, but only when it is well structured can it manipulate the feelings of an author's audience. Frances also brought us the ominous story of the upper berth. To sum it up, this tale starts off with the main character, Mr. Brisbane, attending an innocent cocktail party. Brisbane tells an old ghost story of when he was at sea, but is startled when strange things start to happen in a cabin the other sailors speak of. To settle his suspicions, Brisbane spends the night in the cabin, and he soon discovers a strange creature in the upper berth. Brisbane recruits the ship's captain to help fight the spirit, and they end up locking the cabin for good. Crawford always did a wonderful job of establishing cliffhangers, and this story was one of his most famous hooks. Though Frances never received any literary awards, he certainly won his audience's attention and praise for his wonderfully horrific storytelling. Crawford received an abundance of knowledge from Harvard University and the University of Cambridge, where he studied comparative literature and obtained his professional degree. As Frances grew older, he began to settle down and focus more on his personal life. He married Elizabeth Christophers Burden in 1884, but unfortunately, Liz passed away in 1891. However, the couple did have a child by the name of Bertram Marion Crawford, and Frances continued to raise him on his own. In conclusion, Crawford was an influence to all his readers by offering people of all ages the opportunity to imagine the wicked creatures and occurrences that resonated through his novels. Francis Marion Crawford will always be remembered as the man of Gothic tales and creative nature. From all of us here at Crawford Connect, we wish you a nice, safe evening and for you to remember the creative man that was Francis Marion Crawford. Good night. We now return you to your regularly scheduled program. For this presentation, I utilized websites such as Ancestry, Britannica, The Guardian, and Goodreads.com to find reputable information on my author. I also used Old Style Tales, New Advent, and ANB.org. Thank you so much for viewing this informational presentation on author Francis Marion Crawford. I hope you enjoyed.